From Balti Lillis, Section 3, Familiar Faces, 1976 to 81. 1976-77, League Division 4, finished 21st, sought re-election. League Cup first round, FA Cup third round. Back in the 4th Division for the first time since 1969, Alan Ball did not intend Halifax Town staying there for long. At the club's annual general meeting on the 29th of July, he spoke of bouncing back at the first attempt. "I think we have a chance," he told the members. As well as those players released, Ball also lost skipper Tony Rhodes, sold to Southport for £2,000, and John Collins to Sheffield Wednesday for £4,000. But he still felt his new signings would make his side a force to be reckoned with. First to arrive was experienced Huddersfield midfielder Jimmy Lawson. Shortly afterwards, Lawson's colleague Bobby Hoy followed him to the Shea, though he would be hampered all season by a knee injury. Johnny Johnston, a midfielder, arrived from Southport. Plucked from non-league London football was goalkeeper Mick Leonard. Fullback Paul Kent, released by Norwich, was taken on trial. Central defenders Dave Rylands, Hereford United, and Jack Traynor, Cork Hibernian, also joined the club in time for a pre-season tour of Scotland, as did Bradford-based Roland Gigore, a young midfielder. The tour was not a success and did not bode well for the coming season. Of 4 matches played, 3 were lost. Elgin City 4-1, Dunfermline 2-1 and Hamilton 4-1. Back home the supporters must have been concerned, and their worst fears were about to be realised. Town never posed a challenge for promotion. Indeed, they were in trouble virtually from day one. The Shaymen kicked off their season with home and away legs against Darlington in the League Cup, but with the aggregate scores level, a third meeting was necessary. When the Quakers won 2-1 after extra time at the Shea on the 30th of August, it was hardly a shock, considering Town's awful start to their league programme. Halifax had begun with a 3-2 home defeat by Bournemouth. The game attracted only 1,711. The first time in the club's history that the attendance had dropped below 2,000 on the opening day for a league game. Town was still looking for their first win after their 6th match. They had also been hit by injury to Rylands and the sale of Roy McHale to Swindon Town and Alan Jones to Blackburn Rovers for £8,000 and £7,000 respectively. Ball acted by signing Oldham front-runner Joe Carroll, initially on loan before he joined permanently in November. With the fans staying away, the club tried to entice them back by experimenting with Friday night football for the visit of Hartlepool on the 24th of September. The result, a 1-0 win. Town's first success of the season, but the attendance was the lowest at the Shea so far, only 1,393. This, however, was not to be the lowest of the season. October saw a host of more new faces arrive, and these coincided with an upturn in Town's fortunes. Defender Lee Bradley arrived from Stockport, and midfielder Jim McCann was brought in on loan from Nottingham Forest, now managed by Brian Clough. Ball then signed the Chester pair of fullback Tony Losker and centre-half Chris Dunleavy in a deal totalling £10,000. Dunleavy made his debut against Doncaster, opening the scoring in a 6-0 victory, which equalled Halifax's highest ever league score. Town enjoyed a 7-match unbeaten run that carried them out of the re-election zone and into the third round of the FA Cup. They had seen off Stafford. These clubs had drawn each other for the third successive season, albeit after a replay, then defeated 3rd Division Preston 1-0 at home. Although Town hoped for a big name in round 3, the nearest they came to one was England manager Don Revie, who attended the Shea for the visit of 2nd Division Luton. He was spying on defender Paul Futcher, but though Luton were hardly glamorous opposition, they had been in the 1st Division only 2 seasons earlier, and they proved too good for Town and won courtesy of John Aston's first half goal. When Town returned to league action, it was back to their bad old ways, and with crowds continuing to dwindle, the club invited fans to travel to away games in company with the players, for the privilege of which the fans had to pay. The directors then took drastic action to curb the wage bill. On the 26th of January, all 21 players were put up for sale, with Kent being the first player to leave after his contract cancelled. Town ended a run of 7 games without a win by hammering lowly Workington 6-1 on the 5th of February, after which Town appeared to be keeping their heads above water. Ball started looking ahead to the following season, threatening to quit if he failed to lift Town out of the 4th Division, but he really needed to address the present situation, which actually was getting worse. April was a disastrous month, with 4 successive defeats heaping the pressure back on the side. A 3-0 defeat at Doncaster highlighted the club's problems. With Genoa already ruled out with a broken nose, Leonard failed a fitness test just before the game, so trainer Brian Hendy had to rush to the home of 16-year-old trialist Roman Chimlovsky and somehow get him to Bellevue for 40 minutes before kick-off. In case the youngster failed to show up in time, Johnny Johnston was placed on standby. A sequence of poor results meant the re-election issue loomed even larger. Town went into the last game with their fate still in their own hands, knowing that victory over Southport, who were already condemned along with Hartlepool and Workington, would ensure their safety. Town could only manage a 1-1 draw, and 3 days later Bobby Fravel was left to ruin penalty miss that could have rendered Newport's one outstanding game meaningless. Newport defeated bottom side Workington 3 days later to leapfrog over Town, thus condemning them to re-election just 1 year after dropping out of Division 3. Chairman Percy Alban had expected Town's fortunes to improve after their poor start, but in February had come close to resigning. Now he knew that a trip to the Café Royal in London was necessary for the club's annual meeting, the league's annual meeting. He was confident Town would be re-elected, but non-league clubs had made a pact of sorts to increase their chances of toppling one of the existing league clubs. Wimbledon would carry the Southern League banner, free from added competition of perennially strong rivals Yeovil and Kettering. Late in the day, Altrincham of the Northern Premier League threw their hat into the ring. Did you know fact for the season? For this chapter, sorry. In June 1974, Town supporter Brenda England finished third in Yorkshire TV's Yorkshire Women's Shouting Championship.